and we are here this evening to talk all things colour. So this evening's all about frequently asked questions, but I will show you, I suppose, lots of questions as we go along, but I'm going to actually start off tonight by letting you know how the session runs. So for the first half an hour, I sit behind the camera, if you like, and I stream live, answering all of your questions. And it is a great opportunity for you to upload any questions that you do have, whether you're wanting to know, some advice on projects that you're embarking on, or whether you would like some colour advice, or if you'd like to know about our wonderful portfolio of products that we have designed to protect and beautify your space. Certainly pop some questions into the feed and I will do my very best to answer them for you. For another half an hour after that, so we'll stop streaming live, but I usually hang behind the scenes and sit in front of the computer, so to speak, answering any further questions that you do have. And then that is a really good time for you to pop any photos that you do have into our feed then, because while we're streaming live, unfortunately, you're not able to upload photos. So certainly hold off till then and then pop them in, and I'll do my best again to offer you some advice. So I guess that's kind of how the session runs. So as I said, look, tonight's all about frequently asked questions. And what we do is our social media manager collates all of the questions from across all of our social media platforms, and certainly from when you, the viewers that are watching us, send questions in and there's something that you would like to know about. And also too, because I'm out and about in stores, etc., dealing with our lovely customers, I have an opportunity to then talk to consumers at the colour wall and sort of get some insights as to questions that they're wanting to know, projects that they're embarking on. And, we like to keep this really real. So we're going to start off. One of the questions that we have been asked a lot, and it seems to be, I guess it could be that, spring has sprung, if you like, and everybody's wanting to embark on some exterior painting projects, and it really is an opportune time. So one of the questions, or a lot of the questions that we get asked are, can you give me some colour advice for exterior colours? So that's what a general consensus is. So what I've actually done is I have put together 3 schemes. So one that aims more at being a little bit coastal, one that's sort of more urban, and then another one that could lend itself towards being a little bit more like if you're living sort of in a bush setting, or even opting for, it would work really well for a traditional style home. So I sort of imagine a beautiful Queenslander set up in the hinterlands with rolling green, etc. So I am going to pop that on screen, but I think it's really important when you are starting to try and work out what colours to use for the exterior of your home, to take a moment and have a look at what your surrounds are. So for example, a coastal setting is going to lend itself, you can look, basically you can do what you like, but I sort of like to give some advice, keep it real. Now, if I were looking to help somebody who's living in a coastal area, wanting to create a beautiful coastal aesthetic, I'm going to opt for colours that are reminiscent of the surrounds. So you're going to look at sort of soft blues, blue greys, even sandy sort of tones, whites, things that you would find along that coastline. And then, if you're living in, I suppose you could say sort of a city sort of scape, and you're wanting something that's kind of perhaps a little bit industrial, urban, or anything like that, you sort of look at your surrounds again, and some really dark sort of striking bold colours can work really, really well. And then when you're starting to look at more of, as I mentioned before, my vision of having a Queenslander with the green rolling hills. So you've got that green sort of background, and you may even be in the country, etc. So looking for colours that are going to work really, really well within that setting. And I tend to find that colours that have a slight green, if not green grey sort of undertone, sit really well in that environment. So it's important to look at what you have around you. It's also important to look when you're developing or creating your colour scheme, if you like, at what stays and what's going to be painted. So sometimes you've got to work with what you have. So if you've got a terracotta roof, you want to find tones that are going to work with that. So I'll take you to my screen if you like, and I will show you. Let's just hope this all works here. Perfect. I'll pop myself up into the corner. Beautiful. Okay, so 3 color schemes. Top one, very coastal. So you've got a beautiful, you'd look at a ColourBond color, and I reference ColourBond colors because 9 times out of 10 your roofing colors or your roofing iron is going to be a ColourBond color, and then that can sort of extend coming down into your window colors, etc. Because the fantastic thing, if you're wanting to create a wonderful aesthetic and a well-balanced exterior color scheme or look, I guess, it's a matter of whatever you're using above is to bring it down into the facade as well, so that you've got continuity and you've got repetition. So Dover White ColourBond color. We're looking for a coastal theme here. So Oyster Bar is the most beautiful soft blue with a slight grey undertone, which you could use as an all over the facade color. I've also popped in Black Flame because if you like something that's really, really deep, you could use that. And then I've given you a front door color. So we're going for coastal, and I'm thinking that color Bamboo Cane, a little bit reminiscent of sand, a little bit deeper, but it works really well together. The next scheme, a little bit more urban. So I've given you Surf Mist. So you've got a lighter roof, windows. You could go really striking and have a beautiful, trendy is a version of black that you could use for the facade. Or you could use Tabby, which is the color sitting next to it, and then use Trendy for trims, etc. And then I've given you a fantastic color for front door called Bundanoon. And I imagine that coupled with some beautiful timber, something like a spotted gum, even a light teak timber would work really, really well. And you could have that in the form of a cladding or decking, etc. And then below, this is the color scheme that would work really, really well for, as I mentioned before, if you're sort of more in the hinterlands or you're more country, if you like, using Wallaby on the roof, a beautiful color called Snow Olive, which has that slight green undertone. Aspen Snow, which is a white again that has that slight green undertone, which just pairs beautifully together. And then let's mix it up a little bit, adding a coloured front door, which I've called Pink Dust there, which I think 3 beautiful colour schemes, 3 schemes that can be adapted to suit many environments. So there's some colours that we can work from there. Okay, I'll quickly come and answer some questions and then I'll come back. So I'll take myself back on the screen. Okay. Hi V Scarlett, thank you very much. Just saying thank you for the session. You're very, very welcome. Okay, Ursula, thank you very much for joining us. So your question is, hello Fiona, I want to paint my house white. Everyone is telling me this is a terrible idea and it'll be too dirty. What's your opinion? Thank you. Okay, so I guess, look, white looks fantastic, and white seems to be a colour that everybody loves to use for an exterior colour selection. So the only thing I would take into consideration is to understand where you're situated. So if you're living somewhere where there's a lot of red dirt and a lot of dust, perhaps maybe have a little bit more tint to your colour as opposed to just a white if you like. But I'm quite partial to a white facade or a white home. I think it looks fantastic. Mine's white, but it can come down to also, it's really important what you use to paint your home with. So if you're going to embark on painting your home, you're going to do it white. There's a product called Taubmans All Weather. Now what I love about it is it has what they call dirt shedding technology. So it actually, you would have heard me talking if you followed some of these. Interior, we have a product called Taubmans Endure, and it contains NanoGuard technology. And so NanoGuard, look, NanoGuard is an actual science. Now, when you put a standard paint film under a microscope, it has a one-size paint particle. With NanoGuard technology, it incorporates that one-size paint particle with a smaller paint particle that fills the airspace, creating an interlocking molecular structure. And so what that means for internal purposes is you can scrub the finish and it's going to withstand that. It's fantastic for families, young children, etc., lots of pets, because you can literally just wipe off any dirt, etc., off the wall. But when we take it externally, and as I'm talking about all weather, All weather contains NanoGuard technology, which becomes dirt shedding technology. So it's really important. So I think it's a simple hose down, or it is a simple hoping, for some rain, washes onto the painted facade, and dirt just washes off. So one of the main contributors to your paint breaking down, it's not only UV, which is the sun, but it can be the pollutants in the air, and dirt sitting on your painted surface can ruin the paint. So it's important to make sure that you use a really good quality paint, especially painting white. And as I just mentioned, with the all-weather, dirt's going to wash off really, really easily. So it's going to help you keep your white white. So one of my favorite whites, Ursula, for painting for the external purposes, I love Surf Mist. I think it's a fantastic white. And a couple of sessions ago, we talked about how whites perform externally now. And I've talked about this a lot, and I actually showed some visuals. But what's really important is to understand how your white will perform for you. And if you're situated, for example, I live in Queensland, so we get a lot of sun. Now, it's really important for areas where you're getting a lot of sun, you want to be able to sit outside without having to wear your sunglasses at, say, 7 o'clock in the morning while you're having a cup of tea, because it's too glary. So when you are shopping, Ursula, for your whites, there's something that I would have a look at. Now, all of our colours have what's called an LRV, which is a light reflectance value. Now, when you are looking for whites, start looking anywhere from around 65 to 75 to 80 being the max, knowing that when it is outside, it's going to have enough tint, if you like, in it to withstand glare. So it's not going to be too glary. If you go higher, like 100 is white, so we're stepping it back down, and 0 is black. So if you go higher and you're going up to that closer to 100, if you like, it's going to be really glary. So when you start looking at colours, have a look at the LRV. All of the LRVs for our colours are located on our website. So if you go to www.taubmans.com.au, and you'll find lots of drop down menus. And you're going to be looking at the colour menu. And then once you tap on that, you tap on colours, and it'll take you to our wonderful selection of colours, which there's a library and a world of colour at your fingertips. And what makes it really, really easy is the colours are grouped by family. And you can search for colour, look at the colours, and then you can find colour information. So I would suggest that you have a look at the LRVs when you're looking at whites. And the best piece of advice that I can give you, and anybody that's about to paint, and this is for exterior and interior, is buy yourself a sample pot of the colour that you're considering using, and get yourself a large piece of cardboard. So when our paint turns up at, say, Bunnings, it comes onto large pallets, and in between the layers of paint, they have what they call pallet liners, which are literally big sheets of cardboard. Now, if you can acquire one of those, and I'm sure the friendly paint team members will be happy to do that for you. And then what you're going to want to do is cut the sample so that's going to be 1 metre by 1 metre square. And you're probably thinking, wow, I don't want such a big sample, but trust me, you do, so that you can see how the colour performs. So 3 coats. So the first coat's going to aid as an undercoat, then 2 top coats of the colour. So you've got good coverage. Once dry, move it around. So for outside, you're going to put it in full sun, and then you're also going to put it in areas that lack sun, so you can see how that colour is going to perform in the external environment for you. And then internally, when you're selecting colours, do the same thing. So you've got your metre by 1 metre square of painted card. Once that dries, there's 2 areas that I suggest you test your colour. So here's your wall, here's your floor. You're going to place it up against the wall so that it's sitting on the floor, if you like. And this is really important. And the reason I say this is so colour is influenced by its surrounds. So for example, you've got timber flooring, which can be quite warm. You've got sunlight beating down on the timber flooring. It's going to reflect onto your wall colour, and your wall colour can change. So by testing it there, you can see how it's going to look for you. The other thing too, and I use this analogy quite a lot, if you've got something like a red leather lounge sitting in your lounge room, it's getting sun, in some areas of that room on the walls, it may potentially look a little bit pink, the colour. So the other place as well, so you've got your wall, you've got your ceiling this time, you're putting your painted dry sample up against there. This time have a look at colour under natural light, so just under the sun, no artificial lights on, so you can see how the colour works. And that is the best way to look at colour, everybody. So when you are starting to test colours, looking under natural light will give you a true indication of how the colour's going to look and how the colour is. It's in its truest form, if you like. And then the other way is on the wall, up against the ceiling again, this time with your lights on, so that you can see how the lights are going to make that overall colour look. That way, if you educate yourself on how it's going to look under all different circumstances, you're going to get a better understanding and appreciate how your colour is going to work for you. So I hope that helps you, Ursula. Please, very, very happy to give you some more colour suggestions and guide you. And I'm happy to, once we finish streaming, to pop some links, and I will do that for you, pop a link to our website and to where you can start searching for colour. But look, go into your local paint store or Bunnings store. You'll find that you've got lots of whites and neutrals there. Really good place to start. Always, if you go too light, be mindful that when it gets in full sun, it will bleach out and look a lot lighter. So have a look at the colours that have the whites and neutrals that have a little bit more colour to them or a little bit more substance. And the other tip when you're looking at colours against the colour wall, go armed. So take a piece of white computer paper with you and then start to put the colour chip up against the paper, and you can start to see the undertone of the colour come to life. I hope that helps. Okay. Okay. I hope I'm going to say your name right, and if I'm not, I do apologise in advance. So hi Pantelis, thank you very much for joining us. So you're saying, hi, I'm looking for paint something that helps breathe wellness at home for an asthma and allergies. Great, and this is one of the questions that I do have, so this is fantastic. So we've got two fantastic products within our portfolio of products that I'll talk about. So we've got Easy Coat and Endure. Now I mentioned Endure before as well, the fact that it has NanoGuard technology, which means that you can literally scrub the paint, wipe everything off. It's not going to create shiny patches and you'll end up with burnishing, etc. Fantastic product and amazing for when you've got young children, like me when I've got older children, or the young adults if you like, and animals, etc. It just means you can wipe away with ease. But what's really fantastic about these two products are they have been endorsed by Sensitive Choice, which means that they are asthma and allergy friendly. So if you do have anybody that suffers from asthma or allergies, you're very safe to use these products. You can paint in the morning, you can sleep in your room that evening. Fantastic products. And what I will do is I will pop a couple of links into the feed as well regarding those products, so that you can have a little bit of a read and learn a little bit more about our portfolio of wonderful products that we have available. Okay. What else do I have here? Okay, so hi V. Thank you very much. So your question is, what colour should I consider so the colours flow effortlessly, I can't even say that tonight, from my lounge room to dining room? There's an archway that separates the rooms. I have white ceilings. Okay, so look, I could give you a lot of suggestions. I guess if you can give me a little bit more okay, there is something else that's just come through. Fantastic. So you're saying my kitchen cabinetry is close to indigo blue and it's a small house, so I want to open the room but not necessarily make it all white. I understand that. So I guess if you've got beautiful indigo blue cabinetry, you could actually go, so if you keep the colours cooler, they tend to what am I saying? It tends to open up the space more. So you could use something like a very soft, very, very soft blue. I think that would work really, really well. Let me just have a look. If you're not necessarily wanting white, so an indigo blue, or you could even like things that when you're looking for colour suggestions and you're not sure where to start, so back to the old colour wheel and looking at complementary colour schemes. So whatever colour sits, so you've got a colour here and a colour here. So the colours that sit opposite to each other are designed to work with each other. So you've got blue, you could use something like perhaps, I'm thinking that a slight soft, muted, I'm thinking even a very soft muted terracotta could look kind of really cool with that as well. Not a huge amount of tint to it, but just very soft. I'm just thinking, or whether you go for something like a very soft blue, even a soft bluey grey. Something like, I guess the other question, how much sunlight do you get in your space, V? That way it can help me to make a better suggestion of colour. I'm thinking you could go for something like this, which is Winter Mist, which is that top colour there. Or I'm also thinking whether you, and I'm not sure whether I can go light enough without it being too, given that the space is quite small. And I guess the other thing too, V, what do you have on your floor? Like if you can just help me to continue to paint that picture if you like. Do you have timber flooring? Do you have tiles? What colour or carpet? Just so I have a better understanding and then I can really hone in on some specific colours. So come back to me with that if you can, and then I can just be a little bit more specific. Okay, so Stephanie, thank you very much for joining our colour session tonight. So you're asking, can I tint Dual Lux colours into Taubmans? Yes, you can. We have, as I've just mentioned before, we have an amazing portfolio of products. Our products are quite unique in what they offer, with being endorsed by Sensitive Choice, being asthma and allergy friendly, etc. And yes, we can tint lots of, I dare you could say, competitors' colours into our paints with ease. So I can guarantee we would have a formula for that. So that's not a problem. Okay, so thank you, V. Thank you for coming back so quickly. Okay. Okay, so more sun in the kitchen, so which means I'd stick to a cooler tone than if you've got a lot more sun in the kitchen, especially with the blue. I'm thinking that wood floors, timber nut brown, cooler colour. I still like the idea of something like Winter Mist. And with these suggestions, I would suggest sample pots. As I was saying before, best way, because I'm only, I dare say, going by what I can visualise. So a sample pot of the colour in your space is going to be the best way moving forward. So with wooden floors, timber nut brown, okay. So there's another colour as well. So have a look at White House, which is a soft grey, which I think would work beautiful up against the indigo blue, and then taking into consideration your wooden floors, etc. You could certainly have a look at as well at Winter Mist. It's a little bit more blue, there's a little bit more depth to it. I think that could work as well. I'm also thinking whether you went for even perhaps a warmer, maybe something that's a little bit more neutral, so, and slightly on the warmer side. So we could have a look, just bear with me while I'm finding the right colour. I know there's a colour that I mention a lot at the moment, which tends to be crisp white is my favourite white, as everybody knows that watches this, but I'm actually having a little bit of a love affair with another colour because of the modern Mediterranean aesthetic that's trending, and it's a colour called Aria Ivory, and I just want to see whether I can get that up here so I can show you, because I think this could work exceptionally well with the blue, because I can't find it, and with everything else you have going on as well. I think it could be quite, and you've got the archway, so it lends itself to it. So just bear with me while I find the colour. Okay, blade 6, here we go. Of course, That is the color here. And I'll pop that into the feed. That's a beautiful tone. And you know what? The color above as well, called Tibetan Tan, could work really well. So what I'll do is I'll pop some links to those colors into the feed. I'll just write this down quickly so I don't forget. And then you can have a look and you can view the color digitally or from a screen first. And then I would definitely suggest to trial via a sample pot. Okay, Ursula. Okay, thank you. So the LRV, which is the light reflectance value that we were talking about before. So you're asking, what is the LRV I need for avoiding glare when painting the whole exterior white? Okay, so I would be looking at a white that sits anywhere from around about 65 to 75, pushed to 80. And anything above 80, I feel probably doesn't have quite enough, dare I say, undertone to it. So it doesn't have enough substance, and it may potentially in full sun just be way too glary. So that would be what I would suggest. And if you're wanting an elegant exterior white, so when you talk about elegant, are we wanting an exterior white that has a little bit of, when I think about an elegant white, I'm thinking about a white that may perhaps have a little bit more warmth to it. Ursula, does that kind of, am I picturing what you're trying to paint for me, so to speak? So let me know if it's a more of a warmer white you're after, or whether you're wanting something that is a little bit cleaner. I know surf mist will tend to look a little bit creamier, but it's when it's outside in sun that it looks really, really white. So just give me a little bit more information, and let me also know, please, what else you have in the equation. So what are your window colors, your roof color, etc. And then I can sort of hone in and help you and be a little bit more specific in what I'm recommending for you. Okay, let me just see if we have anything else that is that I've missed. Okay, so thank you very much, Pantelis. Your question is, how do I work out the paint litre? Okay, so if generally a litre of paint will cover around about 16 square meters. So obviously give or take a little bit depending on your substrate, the porosity of your substrate, etc. But if you can work on that sort of principle, that will help you to work out how much you need. So if you're wanting a little bit more information, pop something else into the feed and I can send you to a link, etc. that explains that a little bit better. I'm pretty sure we've got something on our website about that. Okay, Shane, thank you very much for joining our session. So your question, you're asking what colours won't fade when houses face north and west applied to hardy boards. So okay, do you want to be a little bit more specific, Shane, and come back and give me a little bit more information about what else is within the mix? What else do you have that we're matching up colours to, and I can sort of help you with a little bit more, be a little bit more specific with colours. That'd be fantastic. Thanks. Okay. Wow. We've nearly taken up our whole half an hour. That was very, very quick. And I've got all of this other information that I was going to share with you this evening. I've created a bit of a lesson plan as I do every week. And I'm just wondering whether I should, or whether I might keep that for next week. I'm just quickly looking here. You know, I'm going to quickly tell you something before you, because everybody, we've got a little bit of engagement here and we are talking about colour. Now, one of the other queries, I guess you could say, or one of the other things that's really important to understand. So when you grab a colour chip off the colour wall and you take it up to the paint counter and you have it mixed into paint, and then it could be any colour, but let's just say for example, it's a white. you have it mixed into paint, and the paint team member opens up the can and says, look, here's your color. And you look at it and you go, that's not my color. It doesn't look like my color. It looks a lot lighter than what it should be. I guess it's explaining that how paint changes when it dries. So when you look at a color that's in the can compared to when it goes on the wall, how it can change. So what I've done is I have just quickly got, and I'll quickly see whether I can pop this up on my screen. Yep, and I'll pop myself up in the corner. All right, very basic, very simple, but I think it's really important because I've had a lot of queries about this and a lot of questions about it. So when you purchase your paint and your color, you've selected your color, you've had it tinted into paint, and you're looking at a wet sample versus a dry sample, there's a difference clearly, and you can see on there. So I've got just a couple of images there. So the first image, you're looking at the larger lid from the paint container has wet paint. The top one has dry paint. You can see a difference. And then on the other side, the same again. What I've done is I've chopped the image in half of the wet and the dry, put them together in the middle so you can see the difference. So wet paint looks a lot lighter, and then as it dries off, it darkens up. So I guess the whole reason for showing you this is so when you purchase your paint and you open up the can and you go, it looks nothing like what it should look, trust the process. Applying it, letting it dry, and then having a look, because you'll see how it changes. So I just thought it was really important and well worth bringing that to life. So that concludes this evening, everybody. It's been fantastic. I can't believe the half an hour has just gone so quickly. I will be sitting behind the scenes here for the next half an hour or so to answer any further questions, and I'll certainly pop some of the colours and some information that I have been discussing this evening into the feed. If you do have any further questions, please pop them in, and now once I finish streaming is the best time to upload any images that you do have. I'll be very happy to have a look at them for you. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Before I go, I need to let you know that next week, I'm so excited. Next week we are live on set from James Treble's fantastic new project, his house, and super excited. Wonderful interior designer extraordinaire. Cannot wait to be there. So make sure you join us next week for a very special Taubmans live colour advice session. It's going to be fantastic. So until then, everybody, thank you very much. Have a fantastic week, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Stay safe, everybody. And as I always say, happy painting. Bye.